If I were a coach starting over from scratch, here's exactly how I would make $100,000 per year. Now, making $100,000 a year as a coach is the hardest part to crack. Once you're past that, scaling is actually pretty smooth. And the reason is simple. At the start, you're doing everything yourself. You're learning sales, marketing, actually coaching the clients, and figuring out how to run a business at the same time. So if I was starting again from scratch, here's exactly what I would focus on. And before we get into it, why should you listen to me? Well, my name's Somg. I've hit this milestone and gone well beyond it in two different coaching businesses. The first, where I help network marketers recruit more reps and sell more products in their business. And now in my current business, where I help coaches, consultants, and info businesses install inbound client acquisition systems and scale to 6 and 7 figures. So this isn't theory. And before I break down the steps, I want to explain to you why $100,000 a year, well, it's just the minimum target. If you're making, let's say, 50 or 60 grand a year as a coach, long-term, you're going to struggle because a $60,000 a year business can easily turn into 40 on a bad year. After expenses and taxes, there's no real profit. You don't have enough margin to build a team, invest, or even take your foot off the gas. And God forbid, take a day or a week off or even get sick. It's basically a regular job, except you're a one-man company or woman with no benefits and no days off. That's not freedom. That's probably not why you started your coaching business. So $100,000 a year is just level one. It's the base you need to actually build something sustainable. So here's what I would focus on in order if I was starting over from scratch. First, I would master the art of coaching and focus on getting real client results. You see, at the beginning, your job is to learn the craft, learn how to actually help people, how to get them results, and build real experience. Those early clients become case studies that you can monetize for years. At this stage, you're trading time for money, typically through one-on-one coaching. And most people want to skip this part. They don't want to do one-on-one or trade time for money, but they shouldn't, because this is where you learn the most. This is where you learn how your clients think, what they struggle with, what they actually want, what their fears are, what their desires are, and what actually gets results. Every top coach you see started here. And when you work closely with the clients, like I said, you learn their fears and desires. You also learn their frustrations and their real goals. Not just what they tell you on social media, not just what they type, but you actually learn what they really want. And the person who understands their market the best always wins. So when I was doing strictly one-to-one coaching, I actually took this a bit further than I recommend people do. But I was working 30 to 40 hours a week in just one-on-one delivery. It was a lot, but I was also making $65,000 a month. And so because of that close work, I know exactly what my market is tired of. They're tired of sending cold DMs. They're tired of posting content that doesn't convert. They're fed up chasing people who are just not interested. They want clients coming to them instead of outreach all the time. They want to work fewer hours. They want more leverage. They want a way to monetize the people who say no. And they want to attract people who are pre-sold without objections. And that understanding only comes from working directly with people. Working closely with your clients also has another benefit. It builds connection. You see, when you're actually working with them, people spend more time with you. They get to know you better. They renew and they refer at a higher rate. And when you're starting out, it's far easier to sell direct access to you and say, hey, you get direct access to me, you get calls with me, than to try and sell them some big group program or a course. If you haven't worked with clients yet, you're in luck. I made a separate video on getting your first clients, even if you have zero experience. I'll link that video somewhere around here. Next thing I'd focus on is time management. You have to own your calendar. And this is one of the hardest parts, maybe the hardest part, of building a business if you're not used to it. So I want you to think, let's say you had a coaching job, like you were working a job as a coach, and that job paid you $300,000 a year. And your boss told you exactly what to do. Your boss told you when to show up, when to go home, what to do, when to do it, when the deadlines were. You'd get it done, right? The real challenge is holding yourself accountable when nobody else is watching. You see, at home or wherever you're working, it's easy to get distracted. You scroll, answer messages, watch YouTube, meet a friend for coffee, make lunch, and suddenly the day's done. So you need time in these two different facets. You need time working in the business and working on the business. Working in the business, this is delivery, onboarding, coaching, check-ins, calls. These are the things that get you paid today. That's what you're actually getting paid for. And then you need time working on the business as well. So I would separate these. I actually did this and I do this now. So I would separate them. Time on the business is sales, marketing, content, lead generation, emails. That's what gets you paid tomorrow. And so if I asked you, how much time had you spent on each of those activities I listed last week, could you answer clearly? So like I said, I separate my schedule. I learned that through time and error. Certain days for client calls, certain days and time blocks for content, certain days for building assets so that my mind can think clearly and I can focus on the task at hand. Because otherwise, it's chaos without structure, and chaos doesn't scale. Either you own your calendar or your calendar owns you. Next thing I'd focus on is mindset and identity. And when I say mindset, I'm not just talking about reading books or listening to motivational audios and jumping up and down. No. It's about becoming the person who does what needs to be done to get the result that you want, even when you don't feel like it. So doing the right things when no one's watching, posting when you don't feel like it, following up when it's uncomfortable, creating content when you don't want to do it anymore, building discipline, because discipline is what compounds results. And I'll let you in on a secret again. The people getting outcomes, 20K, 50K, 100K, 200K a month, they're not special. I promise you, I've worked with a lot of them. They are not bloody special. And I'm not special either. They just simply put in the reps and they got better along the way. Because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So kind of related to that quote, mindset also includes not just leveling up your mind and the way you think, but it's improving yourself in every area, your health, your communication, your knowledge, your ability to articulate ideas, your sales and presentation skills. You should be getting better every single week. Next thing I would focus on are the business priorities. So now that we've got the time segmented, it's the business priorities. So investing in tools that save time and increase leverage. Now, the problem is too many people try and do one of two things. They either try and do everything themselves and end up doing minimum wage tasks they shouldn't be doing. But then you get people on the other extreme who are trying to automate everything before they even have something working. So it's a fine balance. I see people telling me they're trying to build 6 and multi-6-figure coaching businesses, but when I see what they're doing, they're spending hours scrolling, commenting on a bloody picture of somebody's breakfast, commenting, oh, nice pancakes, just to build rapport. Like, what the hell is that? Or they're stuck in Canva for half a day working on something that could have been done by somebody else for $20. And I have a personal story with that because I'm no good in Canva. So I would rather pay somebody to do that. And I've done this before. I've spent like a whole day and then I paid somebody and this girl literally got it done for me in an hour. So I learned my lesson. So you need to start acting like a professional before it happens. What would a real business owner do? Would they do that? I don't think so. So this doesn't mean overspending. It means investing tactfully in software, mentors, and systems that move the needle and free up your time. These are business expenses and they allow you to focus on what actually makes money so that you can free up time for the other things that matter in your business. And then there's other smaller things as well, not just business tasks, but things like cleaning, groceries, small tasks. Why are you doing those? Your time is better spent building the business and allowing yourself more time to focus on scaling. And so I had to learn the hard way, but I had to outsource those remedial tasks I mentioned. And then I also focused on softwares, systems, and hiring coaches. And then that brings me into when I was talking about people scrolling and not getting the things done, the income producing activities. Every day I talk to people who say they spend hours working on their business, but they have nothing to show for it. They tell me they're working 4, 6, 8, 10 hours a day. But when I look at it, there's no content, no leads, no conversions, no sales. And the problem turns out that they're consuming instead of creating. So I want you to think about your business like a real offline business. You wouldn't close your restaurant to watch, I don't know why I clicked like a mouse window. I'm thinking online business. So, okay, restaurant, shut the door. You wouldn't close your restaurant to go watch how another restaurant does business, right? And you might go to a seminar to learn new dishes and how to run a restaurant, but you wouldn't do it during business hours. So watch content, sure, but create more than you consume and don't let that take the place of your business activities. So income producing activities are simple. Creating content, generating leads through calls to action in that content to lead magnets, nurturing those leads through mediums like DMs, emails, and stories, some more middle of funnel, making offers, because without offers, people don't buy, make sales, and follow up. build sales and marketing assets as well once you've done all that, so that that can compound over time. And if what you're doing isn't leading to one of those, it's probably not a priority. Now that you've got the structure and you're doing these activities, or like I said, if I were building, I'm doing these activities, the next thing I would do is I would build a client acquisition ecosystem. Going all in on one platform used to work, and it still can, but it's less common now. And there's two reasons for that. One, because people's attention is more fragmented now. Somebody might scroll past you on Instagram, 0.2 seconds while they sit on the loo, but they'll happily sit down on YouTube for 20 minutes, grab a cuppa and watch a full video. But also, you can put your heart and soul, you can put all your energy into like really blowing up on Instagram. And guess what? It just might not bloody work. It might not. The algorithm, the platform, you just might not have what it takes yet. So why not give yourself more shots at bat? So pick your platforms and make sure they connect. Don't spread yourself too thin, but what I recommend is focusing on 3 types of content. So long form video, something like this on YouTube, where you can build trust and genuine affinity with your audience. Short form, where you can generate attention because a lot of people are there. And then written content. So for example, let's say you publish a YouTube video, you pull lessons from it, and you can use those for written LinkedIn posts, or you can repurpose them and record them as reels. So one piece of work, but you multiply the distribution. Next thing I would focus on after the content ecosystem is follow-up. Most high ticket deals don't close immediately. There's often probably about a 90 to 180 day lead time, like a window between somebody discovering you and being ready to buy. And that makes sense, right? You're asking to spend thousands. They might not trust you yet. The timing might be off. Life might be happening. They might be working with another coach. They might not even know this is what they need yet. But that's why consistency matters. So showing up, nurturing, and following up. Most people don't do the follow-up long enough. The reward goes to the ones who do. So while most people won't do that, we know that only 3% of people buy it right away. And most people will buy after 5, 10, 15 exposures. So play the long game. And that actually takes me into what I would do next is play the long game. Social media compounds. Don't just think in terms of posts like post get. Think in terms of assets. Create content that answers questions that you can repurpose. People can see it later on, like YouTube videos. Or if somebody asks me something in the DMs, I can send this video or other videos to prospects and clients later. So now I'm repurposing the video. It's breathing new life into it, and it's an asset. So you can repurpose the same thing over and over. And this creates a flywheel. So it could be YouTube content. It could be podcast content. It could be a VSL. When you're thinking later down the line, it could be ads, but something that can be reused over and over again, not just something that disappears. And every interaction does one of two things. It moves somebody closer to buying from you or further away. And each exposure matters. Every time you show up, you get them 1% closer to buying. Or if you disappear or your content's really rubbish, you move them 1% away from buying each time. So that's it in a nutshell. That's what I would focus on if I was starting a coaching business from scratch and wanted to hit $100,000 or more in my first year. And I'm saying this from experience of not only hitting $100,000 a year, but scaling to $100,000 per month in my first year of this brand new coaching business. So I hope this helped. And if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. I'll get back to you. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Cheers.